Rose, how are you? I've been picking up on quite a bit of emotion and some anticipation energy. We've been talking a lot on the channel about the divine feminine and divine masculine collectives meeting back up in the middle, meeting back up in the heart space, and preparing to come into some more physical world, physically manifested connections and communications, be it in a partnership or in work or, in any of the areas. Like the collectives are just really truly preparing to meet back in the middle to begin to co-creating and building the new earth energies. Yes, we're working in our own sovereign energies, but we've reached this point where we're ready to start coming together in community. Okay. And I've been sensing that as it's coming more and more into physical fruition, things are coming up in our systems where we may have felt a little bit nervous about that, or some of the residual energies from the past experiences are just clearing out so that we can be very present with what is true now. Because, yes, we've had our past experiences, but we've all grown to some degree. We've had new experiences, we've done new things, we've been living our lives in whatever way. So, coming back to the table and meeting back in connection and conversation and potentially in the heart space is going to be a brand new experience, or at least we're being called to view it in that with that perspective. Kind of like we went through this process of letting go of what it was so it can become what it is now, and really just allowing the residuals of the untrue to dissolve. Okay, because as we continue to align with our highest timeline in our true potential and what's really meant for us, the distortions and the cloudiness and the chaos and the confusion starts to dissipate over time. When we first ask for these things, it may seem like it gets a little bit more chaotic at the beginning or through the process, because it's where we're actually clearing out those blocks. Like we've talked about here, as you guys know, when you go into new things, or especially if you're in a divine counterpart twin flame connection, when you had that love bubble phase, it showed you the true potential of yourself and your connection together, who you could be as individuals, who you actually are at a soul level. And then all of those things came up for you to work through and work on and clear out and feel worthy of actually being able to accept, receive, and reciprocate those true love energies and true partnership energies. And um, this works in a beautiful way because it prepares us to be able to work in all of our relationships within ourselves, within our family, within our friends, within coworkers, within our communities, within the entire collective. So these divine masculine, divine feminine collective energies are a very important and core piece to our transformation and ascension on our planet. Of course, it's not the only piece, but it most certainly is an important piece as we more fully embody who we are as individuals, remembering all of our true co-creative internal energies, but then also how we build and create our lives in the world around us in a very co-creative, unified way. Okay. So, what I would like to do is just see what messages want to come through with this from the collective's higher self essences, that higher perspective. And then we're just going to kind of open it up to see what else might want to come through to support you guys in this process. Okay. Definitely. Okay. I was feeling some anxiety, and ooh, I feel the anxiety on the masculine side. So let's see what that's about. Because it first came out of the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Truth. And then the devil energy came out, and it's like this on the table. And then the Ace of Wands. So, what I'm sensing as this Queen of Truth came out is that as we've been asking for truth or kind of demanding truth, right, from ourselves, from our connections, from the world around us, as we've been willing to look at the layers of truth, like I spoke about in the Divine Feminine Confidence video. I'll drop that in the pinned comment. As we're looking at the layers of truth, and what I mean by that super fast, I explained it more in that video, but like we can know one thing and a truth at a soul level, but then what we're actually experiencing as a human on this planet can look very different from what our soul knows is the actual truth. So, as we've been really hunkering down and asking for the truth and asking for the highest timeline, what we found was that we were faced with all of these energies of distortion or distraction, um, away from our truth, right? The things that made us want to go into just going back to being comfortable, turning a blind eye to the truth and just shutting it out. But the thing is right, that doesn't mean that the truth is actually gone. It's really important that we actually face what we're afraid of so that we can gain the knowledge and the insight to transmute the fear. And then this devil energy turns from something that maybe a numbing agent away from our fears, but actually keeps us deeper, ironically, in the fears, right? And then, so like avoiding the shadows is actually your shadow at play, right? It means your shadow trying to keep you in the shadows. But when we face the shadows and we embrace the shadows, all of a sudden, these distractions and these distortions, when we start to face them head on and work through our fears, all of a sudden we are able to harness the actual control of the truth. And then we realize that these fears actually become our teacher, and we're okay with holding his hand because he's not in control. The devil, those distractions aren't what's pulling us or dissociating us. But now that we're willing to look at them, what's happening is we're actually like, oh, okay, I got this. This might be scary, or it might have felt scary, or it might give me anxiety. But in truth, once I face it, that's actually where I gain control of my own fears and then realize they really weren't that bad. It's actually the anticipation and the anxiety leading up to the actual experience that's worse than the actual experience. And what we find is the parts of ourselves that we were running from or that we were afraid of. Once we move through those fears, we actually retrieve and recover some really gorgeous parts of ourself. And what's coming through is as we allow that process, as we allow ourselves to open back up to all of the truth, it allows us to transmute what actually isn't true and get down to the core of what is the actual truth. And then what happens is that energy I talked about, the truth at the soul level, starts to actually manifest in a more physically embodied way that now we're able to sustain because we've cleared the fear of the shadows. We're facing it head on. We're understanding it's there to teach us, and so we're not afraid in the same way. And so it's coming to me like we're going through a level of this now, but this is essentially exactly what your initiation was intended to have you embark on, to find your truth, to face your fears, and to realize that those fears externally or internally that you're experiencing are a result of where you're hiding from them. But once you face them, you realize they're not actually so scary. They're there to teach you. And when you can see them as the teacher, you can transmute them and get back to the truth of who you actually are because you're not needing to run or hide from yourself anymore. And when we do this as individuals, or we do it in our connections, when we're willing to have these conversations and communication in a real live way, even where we're allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and truthful, and we're willing to show up and just be open to the truth in a genuine, authentic conversation without judgment of one another and without expectations of needing it to be a certain way. Well, hold up, what happens? All of a sudden, we're safe to be our authentic self. We're actually practicing unconditional love for ourselves and for another person in compassion, because we're not judging the choices that they've made up into this point, and we're no longer judging our own choices, realizing how much it was so much of a mirror to our own selves, right? And then allowing it to come into a softer, genuine, energetic connection without the push or pull energies, without the running, the hiding, the walling, the chasing, the pressuring. All of those essences can relax, and we can sit back into these peaceful, higher knowings and let those drop down into our being, because we've learned how to relax the resistance to our own selves. And as we relax the resistance to our own selves in our physical bodies, we actually have space to invite others in. Okay. Because there's no longer a need to resist the external either. Okay. I hope this is translating. It's kind of just flowing. Is there anything else that we can know about helping to allow connection and communication to come more physically into a manifested form? Mhm. So I'm seeing it's like actually this similar message that's been coming through. This realization that it's time to let go of what we lost. That we've if you can still learn from it, but what I'm sensing is that many of us have kind of extracted what we could from these cups. We've learned quite a bit. And if there's more for you to learn, you can still be open to that. But what I'm sensing is that there's been a safety in staying hermited and focusing on learning in the energetics. And again, deeper, it's coming to say, you're actually truly ready to step into the new, and what you've been focusing on and dreaming about, you're ready to pull into physicality in a more manifested way. And this Five of Wands is speaking to me about like maybe turning away from what was lost, like knowing it's there, like it is what it is, turning your focus to the present and welcoming in the new. Okay. Like we can be aware that the past was what it was, but we can also welcome in what is now, and also welcome in what wants to come towards us in our future. Allowing ourselves to connect more deeply with that higher power, and aligning ourselves with this higher truth and pulling it into physicality and beginning to build within our own energies, but also in a collective way. Okay. Well, again, this Queen of Wands came back in. It's like as we pull it in and allow it, bringing it in both internally and then focusing our attention even externally to welcoming in the new, it allows this new level of integration of all of our inner union energies in a new way. But that's also going to translate to allowing us to come into outer union energies, whether it's in an actual romantic relationship, divine counterpart connection, or in these unity consciousness communities. Okay. All right. I feel like I want to get a couple for like the literal heart space of the connections, because I feel like these are getting like deeper. I would love to hear from you guys and see if this is resonating, what you've been feeling, what you're connecting with. Okay. This actually settled my anxiety. So I'm really curious to see what the energy is. So there's this Four of Pentacles, which is feeling to me like actually it's coming through with a new energy. It's like where we've been doing our inner work and our inner child that may have been holding back out of fear is actually starting to feel much more supported in the physical world. And I'm actually feeling prompted to encourage you guys to check in with your inner child. Okay. Something that's been coming through in my personal work that's going to be um, coming in, like, so when I set the group, like the restoring the sacred masculine and feminine group, immediately the energies start working in a new and deeper way as to what's going to unfold and come together within the group. It really just happens up until we're actually in the group and it's still expanding. But what's been coming through is these very sacred and divine mother and divine father energies that are wanting to come more deeply into our system directly from highest source as directed by your higher self to support our inner child in restoring our essences back to that full soul remembrance. And why I feel this is so important is because at a soul level, right before we were born, we did remember all of who we are. And often as we came into physicality, like I've said before, we did remember, but then we kind of ended up shutting down some parts of ourself or dissociating to protect ourselves because the adults around us weren't really aware of what we were remembering. And so, but now there is significantly more support for us to fully step into all of who we are. And so, as we're doing this work, it's becoming more and more safe for our true core soul essence to come into full frequency. And a large part of that is the inner child essence. This is our creativity, our joy, our fun, our connection, those innocent remembrances of just, kids, they just love everyone. They just remember the truth, right? So, as we've been asking for the truth, remembering and calling in and welcoming and supporting our inner child is a very significant and important piece of this. And what I'm sensing is that as we've cut away the pains and the hurts, it's coming more into this victorious energy. And with this high priestess energy, it's actually speaking to me of this divine mother energy. It's just very balanced and in stoic, right? But this is not stoic in a mean way. This is or in a not being open and honest way. This is like feeling the strength and the stability of the divine mother, the protector, the lover, the nurturer, as she, in this higher divine feminine, sacred mother essence, comes in back into our systems as we allow ourselves to receive those energies. It from the higher power, it also reconnects us more deeply to the sacred mother essences of our planet and also supports us in restoring the mother essences into our connection with our own, say, biological mother and father. Okay. Regardless of what your relationship was like, even I know some of you might not even know who your biological parents are. I've actually worked in sessions with that as well. And actually, I might drop that in the comments too about a young man that I worked with that's adopted. But when we went into session, we were able to work with his biological parents and it tremendously supported his system. But again, all of us on this planet, the mothers, the fathers, the grandmothers, the grandfathers, the grandchildren, the children, all of us have um not had that necessarily full access to the support of those higher divine and sacred mother, father essences directly in our systems. But this is what's becoming available. So you can ask and intend to connect with those essences on your own, calling them in. I know many of you go into energy work and into meditations, and so you're welcome to do that. If you would like support or to go deeper with it, I'm going to be supporting this process within restoring those sacred masculine and feminine essences in that group on 222. So I'll put that in the pinned comment as well. But again, taking some time to also, again, I love that this is coming through with the fact that the inner child is feeling more safe and stable. This is a testament to how much you have been healing, reparenting yourself, learning to show up for yourself, learning to protect and create stability for yourself. But also, what feels the most exciting to me is that these parts are feeling safe enough to actually be on the verge of coming out and being ready to reconnect and be playful, because it's this true inner child essence that drops us back into the innocence and the truth of who we are. And I think and I believe that when we've had those soul merges and the Helios Gamos energies in soul merges, and we get into that gorgeous energy of the love bubble, it's because we're remembering who we were at a soul level. That's what we ignite and inspire in one another. And it brings those playful, joyful, loving energies back to the table. I'm feeling that and I'm kind of getting a little bit choked up, but not in a sad way, like an excited way that we're ready to bring these pieces back into our lives and back to the planet and back to our communities. All right, loves, in a very balanced, supported, embodied way where we can be all of the parts of ourself. We can be responsible and we can be safe and stable and we can be creative and intuitive and flowing and we can have fun, enjoy, and experience life in connection. And I feel it opening up in my heart just as I'm speaking the words to you. And so I hope that you continue to receive the support of these energies and these messages. And if you feel guided, I would love to have you connect with us in the groups. I do want to pull this together. Sometimes when I get emotional, I tend to get off, and I made a pact with myself that I wasn't going to do that if I was in a space to keep going. I'm just going to embrace the emotions and harness the opening in my heart and in the love and share in those energies with you in whatever way you feel guided. All right, loves. I'm proud of that. That I actively became aware of that I was going to allow that to happen and be present with it and with you. I feel guided to pull a card from the True Love deck. I'm gonna see what I get from it, but I'm also probably gonna read from the book just to kind of bring it all together. Usually these messages end up tying things together. So let's see what comes through. Oh, I don't know this one at all. I've never seen it, so I'm kind of excited. The Silver Waterfall. But I immediately, right away out of the gate, of course, it just brings up those gorgeous, playful, loving inner child energies to me. Um, the waterfall, the rainbow, the swan, the butterfly, the balance. It's hitting me how this feminine is just so comfortable in her own skin and open and receptive to receiving this love and this joy and this playfulness and the connection into her life. So let's read it. It's card number 32. Let's see what it wants to share with us, because like I said, this is a brand new one for me. The silver waterfall. Stay balanced, healthy, and happy by raising your own vibration. Many people feel that they are always picking up on other people's negative energy and want to know how to protect themselves from the unpleasantness. They perceive the negativity to be out there and believe that if they could shield themselves from it, they would be better. The truth is that we all carry negative and positive energies, and we all have times in our lives when we feel low. To feel truly lovable and abundant, you need to be able to engage with whoever and whatever comes to you without feeling like you need some form of defense. Not only does your aura or personal energy field experience the highs and lows of everything that's going on around you, so does your nervous system and all the cells of your body. You're like a finely tuned instrument that is constantly testing the atmosphere for anything unusual, unfamiliar, or threatening. It's all out there, but barricading yourself against the world is not the solution. Wow, I told you, you can't, you really, it's amazing. The best way to stay balanced and healthy in a busy world is to raise your own vibration in as many ways as possible. This means eating nutritious food, looking after your body with rest and exercise, feeding your mind with uplifting material like beautiful music, books, and movies, and regular contact with nature and cleansing yourself at the end of each day. This is done not to protect you from anything negative, but as the angels prefer to describe it, to release anything that doesn't belong to you and anything you don't need anymore. This can also be done by following the process called the silver waterfall, and it's the most beneficial at the end of the day so you can let go and go to bed more than you need to. The silver waterfall is a meditation. Sit or stand comfortably wherever you can have a private moment. Imagine yourself standing under a glorious waterfall of silver energy and light. Let your imagination flow too. Follow a picture, a wonderful scene in a rainforest with a silver waterfall pouring out of the sky. Feel the shimmering energy flowing through and over you, washing away energy that you don't need anymore or that doesn't belong to you. Feel it or visualize it draining away into the floor and being absorbed by Mother Earth. Let the silver water flow for as long as you need it to. Picturing as much or as little detail as you would like as the energy flows through your aura, your hair, and every cell of your body. Let it all drain away. Feel the refreshing light and energy that is all through and around you, tingling and sparkling. It kind of reminds me of some of the meditations that I do. So I hope that that was supportive, but I love how it all kind of came together in that remembrance that everything that we're wanting to or did in the past that we wanted to run away from was simply something for us to transmute within ourselves. And as we face those fears and those discomforts and care for ourselves and love ourselves, it becomes much easier to step into our truth, embody all of who we are, and then be able to share that out into the world in new and beautiful ways. All right, my loves, I hope this was helpful and that you have a beautiful rest of your day. And I will see you tomorrow for day 12 of the Higher Self series. Love you.